Hi there. If you haven't seen the previous episodes of this series, I definitely recommend checking them out, as this is episode 4 of my How to Draw series, where I'll be sharing my tips and tricks for coloring. Next up is going to be coloring. The way I do my coloring is I click the layer right underneath the line art, and I click New Layer. This is just going to be a normal layer, aka a raster layer in Clip Studio. And then I'm going to select Yoki's colors, so if I pull over her reference that I've been looking at, I'm going to use the Eyedropper tool. And the hotkey for that is I on my keyboard. And if you can see, it's right over here. And this is going to be called the color picker. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose this yellow. And then I'm going to click X. So I can select 2 colors at a time here. And I want this one to be yellow, and I'm also going to select her line art color. I always color my line art because I feel like it just gives my drawings a little extra pop. And I really like giving my characters line art colors. So now I have her line art color and her base color selected. So I'm going to move this back over here. I'm just going to be selecting colors from her reference sheet. So first thing I'm going to do actually is I'm going to click the line art layer, and I'm going to make a new layer above that. And then I'm going to fill that layer with the entire line art color. And then I'm going to click this button. This is called Clip to Layer Below, and it's going to make it so everything on this layer will only appear on whatever is on this layer. So just as we can see here, all the color is only on the line art. Then I'm going to select this new layer that I made below the line art. I'm going to click X to switch to the other color that I've selected. And I'm going to do Shift Delete, and that's going to fill the entire layer with her color. Then I'm going to select the wand tool, and that is right here. I'm going to make sure that I have Refer Other Layers to select, and this is going to make it so that when I click, it's going to select based on every layer. So it's going to recognize these lines on Yoki, and it's not going to select past these lines because it recognizes the other layer. So it's not just based off of this layer alone. And you can actually adjust that setting right here. This says Refer Multiple, and you can check that off, and it will make it so it will select. See how it does not recognize the lines on the other layer. So you can also not refer multiple, but I am going to refer multiple because I want to be able to select and have that selection recognize that there are lines that I don't want it to go past. Another very important thing is this area scaling. This is very essential. It makes it so that when you select, the selection goes 2 pixels more than what it is selecting. So basically, if I have area scaling off and I select, it's only going to select up to these pixels. If I have it on, it's going to select up to 2 pixels more than the selection, as you can see here. This is very important because I'm going to click delete. When I'm coloring my character, there's no extra yellow on the outside. When you have area scaling, it makes everything look super clean because nothing is going outside the lines. And that also goes for the fill bucket, which I'm going to show you how to use. So I'm going to select Yoki's greens and her oranges. I also have this little color palette down here that I made on Clip Studio Paint. If you want to make your own color palettes, it's pretty easy. I have one for Kona and Callie as well. And all you have to do is go to Window, and then you have to select Color Set, I believe. And that is the window that will show you this little color palette, and it makes it very easy to be able to pick your colors just from right here instead of having to open up her reference sheet. So now I'm going to show you how I use the bucket tool. What I have on my bucket tool, I also have area scaling. I only have this set on 1 because I think there are some thinner lines, and so if I actually set this to like 8, it will fill outside the lines, and you don't want that at all. So I have area scaling turned on, and I also have this thing called fill up to vector path turned on, and this just makes it so that my colors really fill up the entire space. If I have fill up to vector path off, you can notice there's this little bit right here that did not get filled, but if I turn it on, that bit does get filled. And this just ensures that every little bit is filled and we don't have any blank spots that just look a little messy. It makes the art look very clean because we have everything filled in. So I'm going to fill in her eyes here and her eyebrows with this line art color and her little eyelash as well. Another thing that I have that isn't entirely important in this drawing because I don't have them, but if I'm going to draw something where I have maybe fur that looks like this, notice how there is empty space here. And if I want to fill in with the bucket tool, if I don't have this close gap on, it will go right outside that line art. But if I turn close gap on, it will recognize that there are gaps here, and it'll make sure it does not fill past those gaps. So that is super useful because I do have an art style that does have gaps often. But yeah, I'm just kind of selecting my colors. So I can select my colors from right here actually, and I'm just filling them in. Oh yeah, I didn't even talk about this. If you hold, so I have my pen is still on the screen, and drag, it will fill in any spaces that you are holding on, which I just love. That's a very cool thing about the bucket tool on Clip Studio Paint. Okay, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to select her tail, and I'm going to use a tool called Lasso Fill. This thing is so helpful. It's right down here, Lasso Fill, and basically what I do is it's like the lasso tool, but it fills in whatever you select. So that is super useful. I use that tool all the time. I'm going to use it right now. And the reason I selected her tail is so that when I use my lasso fill, it doesn't go into like her arm. So I'm going to select this tail, and then I'm going to just color that orange and then color that green. The cool thing about Clip Studio Paint is you can set multiple tools onto one hotkey. So if I tap L, I will get taken to my regular lasso tool. If I tap it again, I'll get taken to my Lasso Fill tool, and if I press it one more time, I will get taken to my Object Select tool, which is like where I select the line art. Alright, so now we've got her all colored. I hope this video has helped you, and if you have any tips of your own, feel free to leave them in the comments. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video, where I'll be talking about shading and lighting, also known as rendering.